Whole feed. Golly. Hey, man. Get up here. No. You're good. You're good. We just don't, you want to close the door so we don't get a lot of,
Where is he?
Out.
He's outside. All right, man. We just had to put this together. Something last minute. I might miss my flight, but screw it. They offered me $500 actually.
Did they?
Yeah, they called me earlier. They're like, hey, we overbooked this flight. Would you mind taking $500 if we're going to, and fly out tomorrow morning out of Fort Lauderdale? I'm like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm not.
Did you consider it though?
Nah.
Nah?
Because it's happened to me before.
The Uber.
And a hotel.
Yeah.
And a little bag.
You're profiting.
Yeah, but I want to get home today. Like when I book a flight, I'm like, yo, this is where I'm gonna go. This is when I'm gonna go. Anything that, fumbles that, I'm good off of that.
Yeah, you feel, as well. It's like I feel like it's like, yo, don't tell me what to do. Like, don't tell me what flights to get. Yo, I booked this flight. Like, they're trying to finesse you. Like, oh, can you?
But it was Delta, so they were very polite. Shout out Delta, greatest airline.
Delta.
JetBlue
gives you free Wi-Fi.
So does Delta. No. JetBlue is trash because you have to pay for a carry-on bag.
Not if you're a member.
Oh, bro, who's a JetBlue member? Does your company go with JetBlue?
What?
Does your company have like a membership with JetBlue?
No.
Dude, JetBlue doesn't even have the screens. The entertainment on Delta is unparalleled.
Okay. I'm going on Delta when I go to New York in like a week, so I'll tell you soon. Normally I'm American, but JetBlue has free Wi-Fi. Love that, so I don't have to take off work. I can just be like, yeah, I'm here.
And the Delta Lounge is amazing.
But you have to pay for that.
I mean, not really. It's kind of free.
They're making you pay for every turn of this whole airport thing, man. They're trying to make you pay for this, pay for that, bro. It never ends.
Oh yeah,
never ends.
The only thing that's worth buying though is if you're buying colognes when you're going back. That's duty free.
Yeah, bro. I need to get my duty free. And in the UK one, bro, in Heathrow Airport, they got the most ballin' duty free. They got Louis Vuitton. They got a Rolex store in the duty free.
Holy.
Trying to get that tax free Rolex, man. One day.
You're flying into London?
I'm flying into London, yeah.
But yeah, so I wasn't gonna miss my flight. But the thing that really stood out, I don't know if we were having this conversation last night with me and Bob, but Gucci Mane, another artist of Gucci Mane, I think it was Mac Ritter, somebody that he just recently signed, just caught a first degree, I believe, attempted murder charge or a murder charge.
That's good shit, man. I feel like that's like Gucci Mane signs people basically based on like, you got any murder charges coming up? And it's like, yeah, I got a body dropping next month. He's like, yo, here's the bag.
He's like, before they catch a buzz in criminal, that's when he gets it.
He's like, I feel like, when like normal artists, they like go to like concerts to A&R. I feel like Gucci goes down to like the prosecution bench or some shit, He's at the courthouse just like, man, who's got good bodies in Atlanta this week? Yo, I might have to offer my guy a deal.
Who has a current trial?
Like, do you think his A&R is the bail bondsman? And he's like, yo, have you arrested any artists? Like, we'll give you like 5%. We're about to sign these guys. We're trying to pick them up.
That might be it. That might be how he's done it, man. He might have like Dog the Bounty Hunter on payroll or something.
Because I remember before he signed Pusha Ice-T and like the new So Icy boys, he was like, yo, I love Memphis. They're dropping the realest music. They're the realest out there. And I mean, that whole So Icy boys, I mean, unfortunately, other than Big Scar, he managed to avoid legal problems, but...
Damn, did he have Big Scar on his? It was Big Scar on 1017 too.
Yeah, So Icy boys was Big Scar, Fujiano, and Pusha Ice-T.
Fujiano, man.
Yeah, Fujiano, I don't know if he did 5 years, got 5 years first, and then decided to tell Trey Songz that he was going to run down on him, or that was before. Both of them was on a jail call, though.
I feel like it's cool though. I mean, I know it's sort of a bit of a meme at this stage, but like Gucci is the king of basically, he had a buzz, then he had this murder charge, and then he beat it, and then that was like the template. And like he just caught cases, came out, reinvented himself, got cloned. Like he is the model of turning your criminal history into a very lucrative rap career. And why not just, be doing that with all these other artists? It's a shame though, because as soon as we get a good 1017 artist, that it's like we've got about 1 or 2 mixtapes before they're just gone.
But as we were discussing yesterday, it's more profitable to get artists who are going to jail because that's the free marketing, right?
Bro, I don't know why the major American jails don't just put in full-blown studios. They should just put a real studio in all the jails and just let everyone record, man.
I mean, I think the only thing, I feel like engineers don't really get arrested. They just be missing some engineers. I feel like they've got rappers and producers in prisons. But they might just need some engineering. They could always send that out.
You know what? Somebody needs to invent, right? In maybe like some Chinese factory, they need to invent a really small studio that can fit up your ass, right? You can just, you can just bank the studio.
You do that with like a fire ass. You're wearing one.
Bro, this would fit right up there.
That's true.
Straight in.
I
mean, Capsule Corp was working on that, but that's like 25 years ago. They had the little capsule. You just pop it open, and then you get a whole island. But we still haven't gotten there yet. Elon Musk, get to work on that. That's the greatest invention for music. Because, I mean, YNW Melly would be dropping hits out of prison.
Bro, that's the thing, man. I was listening to the interview with YNW B Slime and his mum on No Jumper today. That just dropped the other day. And it's just like, man, they're still saying like Melly's home soon, and it's like 4 years now.
Whoa.
I don't think Melly's coming home, man.
I mean, they gotta hold out hope though. That's family.
I agree, but also it's like, bruh.
It's like they just canceled the non-death penalty thing, right? Like he's still facing that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Bruh.
So it's getting worse, literally.
I feel like with Melly, I mean, I know the American justice system's got a lot of problems, very corrupt. You know, there's a lot of unfairness that goes on. But like with the situation with Melly, ain't looking good, and there's not many redeeming like angles on the story.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They tracked his phone. Like
One thing though,
he did that.
People say Empire as a label is cursed because all these people are dying. Empire is more of a distributor, so a lot of people can just use Empire. But Gucci Mane, on the other hand, he's hand-picking people. So is Gucci cursed, or he just chooses people that...
I think he knows. It benefits him.
I don't think he's doing it nefariously, though. I think he's like, yo, this guy's hard and he's real. He reminds me of my old self. Let me give him an opportunity.
You know what? I feel like it's interesting. The Pooh Shiesty situation was a crazy one because it was like, he'd actually gotten to the level in the industry, I would say, where it was like, he had surpassed all of the street shit. Like he really could leave that stuff behind. And like, I wonder whether Gucci even himself thought like, oh, you know, I've got an artist here that like, we've gotten them so into the mainstream now. You know, Back in Blood was like a mainstream American chart hit. Like, you know, he's past that. He's out of his old ways, and then just goes ahead and shoots the club up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
speaking of people beating cases, a friend of mine actually asked me about you the other day. He said, will you ever touch on the Boosie story?
Yo, I've wanted to do like a big video on the Boosie story for a while, but I know there's just so much to it that I need to give myself like a whole month to just go deep and do the whole thing. I'm super interested in Boosie and his story, but he's one of those artists, I think, he's done endless Vlad interviews, they're all super interesting. Like for me, I want to try and like watch everything about an artist to really just like get everything, but I feel like Boosie's had such a long career, he's so active on social media that I just know that's going to be like probably a 2-month project, but I want to do it, and maybe this year I'll fit it in.
Are you going to talk about how he is with his son? Like how he got that girl? How old was he?
I think maybe he was either, I don't know if he got escorts or strippers for his son when he was 13 or 14. Is that kind of like Boosie's version of a bar mitzvah?
Yeah. His coming of age?
No Kanye.
Coming?
No Ye.
Did you say no Kanye?
No Ye.
No Ye. I mean, I'm definitely not going to touch on that because that definitely is going to get me demonetized, and also it is kind of weird. So I don't even want to, I don't even want to know what they be getting up to.
Yeah, because Boosie was surprised. He he was on death row. And he didn't tell.
He didn't tell, man. He beat the trial, didn't he? And like, from what I understand, I've heard Boosie talk about it with other artists from Baton Rouge, where Boosie kind of says like, the authorities and the ops, once you get to a certain level of fame, they are just out to get you. And I haven't looked into the case deeply yet, but from what I get from like shit Boosie said, is like they were really out to get him. They were trying to put him away for good. Maybe he was facing the death penalty. I don't know all the details, but like, yo, he really beat the odds, man. So shout out to Boosie.
Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen with the YSL case? In your humble opinion?
I mean, right now it's looking like Thug's pretty cooked because they want to get Thug. They're flipping hella members. The whole thing with the Gunna, like, oh, is he snitching? Is he not snitching? Like,
would you consider it snitching?
I mean, he said YSL as a gang must end. Yes, ma'am. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that is definitely snitching. No?
I think it's dry snitching. It's not like full on like he did it, but yeah, it's basically insinuating.
Listen, when it comes to snitching, telling, I just refer to 1090 Jake. If he says they told, that's it. That's like the gatekeeper.
Jake is the paperwork king.
Yes,
he is the master of paperwork.
And then I got to hear Whack 100's story, and then that's it. Whack 100, 1090 Jake. Who else?
Said he was.
Whack said he was snitching heavily. But here's the one thing I want to point out about the YSL situation that I think a lot of people overlook, right? Because a lot of basically we're talking about gangs, right, and gangsters, And, you know, street gangs, hip hop affiliated drill type gangs are more of a new phenomenon, right? The original gangs and the original gangsters were like the Italian American mafia. And their whole thing was, we don't even acknowledge the existence of this thing of ours. You do not tell the judge that we're a gang. You never admit anything. This isn't, there is no enterprise. This is not, there's nothing.
You're doing it right then.
But that's what I mean. If Gunna's up there saying, YSL as a gang must end, I'm a musician, I fell into this gang. Yo, like, if we're going by mafia rules, that's snitching.
So do you think they started off, like a lot of these gangs start off on the wrong foot in terms of, you know, I'm not going to throw up any hand signs, but they're like, hey, here's our tattoos, here are our gang signs, all of this stuff. It's already like you guys are starting off on a bad.
Okay, here's something I want to make clear to like every street rapper that unfortunately was, you know, born into a situation where they was enticed into gangs at a young age. When you finally get your opportunity to get out and make some music and start a record label, don't name all of that shit after your illegal gang. I would say that's like my best advice. Like once you finally get on, it's like, you know, don't call your record label like we are the BD, we're the Black Disciple Entertainment. Like, you know, this whole YSL thing, like, you know, it's like, oh, it's not a gang, it's a label. Like, yo, you could have just called it like Big Music Movers Entertainment. Like, you know, I know it's enticing and it's fun to like, let's put all the gang and street stuff into our music. And I know you got to talk about the lifestyle you've lived, but like, I think a lot of people just get caught slipping because they love this whole gang ideology and like iconography of the logos and stuff and be putting that in their music and their LLC. Like, just leave that in the past, man. Once you get your label, call it anything but the name of your gang. You know what I mean?
I think the fact that Young Thug did name it after that gang is why they're going after him so hard. Because it's like almost making an example out of Young Thug and in Atlanta to stop the gang culture. Right?
Yeah, but that's I mean, look, I know a lot of Young Thug fans aren't going to want to hear this, but like that's what the cops are supposed to do. Like people are like, it's like, yo, the gang is young slime life, but the label is young stoner life. Like, yo, just it's like there's the same letters. You're all in every song talking about slat. You've all got tattoos saying slat on your finger, slime. Wiping your nose, slime. Like, King slime. Just. You were tripping, man. They shouldn't have done that. Like straight up, just like, and you know, you've got all these people, these executives like Lyle Cohen and I forget the other guy's name that was in court, like crying, talking about like, oh, Thug's
Kevin Lyles,
just like Thug's such a good dude, man. It's just like, have you even listened to his music?
Label, though?
I don't know when it started actually.
Well, the thing is, I think the listeners didn't really know for a long time because one of the songs that Young Thug blew off of was Stoner. So it was one of his earliest songs, and then it was like YSL, Young Stoner Life, and you're like, okay, this makes sense. I mean, obviously Atlanta, the police, they're like, okay, this is not Young Stoner Lifestyle. But then at one point he changed it to Young Successful Lifestyle. Maybe like he didn't want to have the stoner, it wasn't brand friendly. So a lot of fans were following it. They're like, oh, okay, this is now it's really Young Stoner Lifestyle when it was really Young Slime Life.
Can you imagine, like, no offense, right? But like, imagine being a criminal that dumb and you're like, yo, the feds are on us, man. Young Slime Life. We're the Young Slime Life gang. The feds are on us. I know how we're going to beat this heat. We're going to change it to Stoner. No, we're going to change it to Young Successful Life. Like 0-star wanted level now. Got the heat off your back completely. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You're out there sliding.
But the fact that it was done so early means like he was already trying to camouflage it a bit.
You know what I think is interesting about Thug, right? Because I did a big story on it before the case came, and I actually was surprised because I was like, I'm going to go back and listen to a lot of Thug's old music and look for references to the gang affiliations. And there weren't that many in his older music. I feel like he actually, as the years went by and the alleged murder that took place was, I think, something like 2015, right?
2015, 2016.
And it was like around the time that those things, I guess, were happening, there weren't as many clues in the music. And it seems like having gotten away with that for so many years, you know, we're talking like 2019, 2020, when Thug started doing all the lyrics about shooting at people's mums and stuff, or like, we smoked your OG, all this stuff. And it's like, you know, I guess to a certain degree, you know, 5-6 years passed after you've had a rival killed, I guess you could understand why somebody at that level of fame would just be like, I can say whatever I want now, you know, I can just...
Like the statute of limitations?
Or like, we're clear, they can't still be looking into this.
Right.
Yeah, like...
They were making the case the whole time.
That's the thing, but I feel like his success made him a bigger target, you know, it wasn't just that like, oh, we'd gotten away with murder and moved on with our lives. He's flexing on private jets, They're shooting at YFN Lucci's mum's house. They're standing on his car and making it a record cover. I mean, the fact that Yak Gotti stood on Lucci's car in a parking lot and then they made that the album cover. Like, somebody at the record label must have approved that and been like...
They probably didn't know.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess.
Possible.
They're like, oh yeah, this is a car.
Well, another guy that was gangster recently, I don't know if you followed up with this, because this has been happening while you've been touring Miami, is Real Boston Ricch.
Yeah, I really was I'm a fan of his music. Like, he's got some bangers, man. That one with Dirk, he's got that track with Future. Like, he's hard, but 1090 Jake saying that the paperwork is
two
legit.
different scenarios. But the thing is, what I've heard, and I've heard this from good sources, is Boston Ricch was really flipping packs. Like, this guy was out there getting money. He was really, doing what he claimed he was doing. But the thing is, he signed to Future. He had a big song that was with Lil Durk. The crazy thing about this is he's talking to the dude 1090 Jake. He's like, yeah, look into that. You'll find out that I didn't tell. And then he finds another case that he told in. God. I feel like Lil Durk's running out of people to collab with. Gunna, this Real Boston Ricch guy. They're just going to keep going down the list. Who's Lil Durk going to work with anymore?
Future has to drop him after that to keep his cred.
Maybe. I feel like Future just will do anything for the bag, though. I mean, Ricch must have been flipping packs to buy that Future verse because no one had heard of him, and then suddenly he's doing that. Oh, did he sign to Future?
Yeah, he is signed to Future.
Oh, I didn't know that. Damn.
Yeah. So Future gave him the bag.
I'll be honest. I couldn't care less if a rapper's telling, bro. Like, I think we should normalize telling, normalize snitching. I don't care. I'm not a street dude. I think crime is bad. Gangs are bad.
This is the way I look at it, right? Let's say we just take a civilian's outlook, right? We're like, okay, this guy's preaching the lifestyle of being a gangster. And he's like, this is the coolest thing ever. And kids are watching this and being influenced by it. And they're like, you know what, let me do this. But the whole time he's telling. So I feel like that's where you gotta be like, come on, bro.
It's kind of like a planted NPC there to just manipulate you to start snitching as well. Because if everybody's snitching, then these kids might snitch after that too.
They're making snitching look cool now. I mean, 6ix9ine, everyone hated on him for snitching, but then you find out Gunna snitching, you're like, I kind of like Gunna.
But
I'd snitch. And Richie snitching, we should just all snitch, man.
Yeah, just do bad things and then snitch on people.
Speaking of telling, though, this is a story that I'm most likely going to do a video on, but this is just like a little tidbit. Years ago, we had female rappers that weren't even snitching. Lil' Kim, for instance, she was into a beef. Her crew got into a shootout. They shot some people up, allegedly, and somebody got hurt. I don't think anybody died, but they called Lil' Kim to the stand and she perjured herself. She lied on the stand, said, I didn't see anything, there was no beef, my people didn't shoot anyone. And then they later found proof that she was there and she saw what happened, and she perjured herself, and she did her time in prison. So are female rappers realer than these supposed gangsters we have right now?
Bro, I think you might be right, bro. I think you might be right. I'm ready to see Ice Spice keep it solid and take 20 years.
Technically snitching on Tory, if you think about it, though.
Yeah, Megan Thee Stallion she took the stand, man.
Yeah.
They're not canceling her. Her, Gunna, 6ix9ine, Richie.
I feel like Megan never said anything like, I'm street, you know?
She said, I'm a savage.
Yeah, but
sassy, moody, ratchet.
In a way of like, my vagina is wet.
I don't know.
I was like...
I feel like, okay, I got to address...
I give her a pass, though.
You giving her a pass? I got to address the elephant in the room, right, since we're on the topic, okay? Meg and Tory, the audio has now come out, right? We got audio of Tory apologizing. We got audio of Kelsey talking to prosecutors about all sorts of things. And I'll be honest, once I heard... I had my doubts, right? But then the verdict came out. But once I heard that clip of Tory apologizing, he definitely shot Meg. Definitely. You hear that? Did you hear the audio?
Listen, everybody's been haggling me to talk about this topic. I haven't touched it. You've brought it up. So I will speak about it here.
Let's go.
One thing, another friend of mine that we were talking the other day, he said, initially, Tory Lanez had a female lawyer that was the one that represented OJ, I believe.
And that's who you want.
He was wondering why he switched to this man at towards the end.
Because he hates women too.
Maybe. But then he was saying that the potential possibility is she saw the case and she was like, oh, we're going to lose this. Ooh. And she might have dropped Tory.
Damn.
Because me looking at this, I don't necessarily know if Tory actually shot her, but you're a lawyer. Tory's on a jail phone. he's calling someone that's a part of whatever just happened, and he's apologizing. Like, what are you doing? If you're the lawyer, you're like, oh my God. This is what when I heard that video or that audio call, I'm like, oh my goodness. Because I'm looking from the frame of reference. I'm not a juror. Supposedly the jury's not supposed to know, the ins and outs of Tory Lanez. But Tory Lanez is a serial hothead.
Yeah, facts.
I mean, he bucking up on Travis Scott, running up on Dax with a pistol, allegedly, telling him to apologize in LA. Like, this is crazy for him, not even really dissing you, just kind of like trading bars with you. Nothing disrespectful. You're facing this case already, and then you run down and jump or beat up August Alsina, of all people, because he didn't say hi to you. And I'm just looking at this like, yo, Tory Lanez, what are you doing?
Bro, I saw Tory Lanez in a club, and I've made a few jokes about him, and I literally hid. I was like, hell no. I was like, hell.
Bro, he's like half your size.
I was like, I see Tory down there, but you know what? If he's got the strap, bro, he's gonna shoot at my feet.
Oh my
the only person
I was genuine because I know his reputation. I was just like, man.
You're gonna have to start getting sturdy.
You literally had to put a hat on. I had to put a little fake mustache on, bro.
The only person that I've seen that I've like probably talked about is Roddy Ricch, and we were hopping on a flight, and he was across.
Class?
I didn't even know where he wasn't first class. Yes, it was a cross country flight from. Funny enough, he got arrested that same day. That's when he got arrested at Rolling Loud. Yes.
Oh man.
What again?
Possession of a firearm.
So he had it on the plane potentially.
Nah. So we're walking down opposite aisles. I'm just walking in, and I just look over, and then it's like Roddy Ricch, and he's staring right at me. And we're just like, we lock eyes for like a second, and then I just keep walking.
But you don't know your face.
No, of course not. Yeah. But it's funny because I know who he is. Yeah, right. So I just sit in the back, and I'm sitting, and then on the aisle right next to me, there's like 3 people, and they're all on Tory Lanez's team. So like right next to me, it's all just like, not Tory Lanez, Roddy Ricch's team. It's all just like Roddy Ricch's people, and they're just talking about it. I'm like, this is really interesting.
He must have a hell of a team of yes men after that album he put out. My God, that bad album.
He did put a good project out recently.
The new one's better.
Yes,
I got to say the new one's better.
Talking about Feed the Streets 3.
No, he's talking about Live Life
right?
Fast.
I'm talking about the one where he's got that. What's that terrible song that he's got? And it's like, man, I took a baddie to Miami or something. It's got that terrible song.
I know
remember
exactly
it
what you're talking about.
And it's like, yo, you took for 2-3 years off to write that. Like, yo, bro, you need to go back to the streets. You need to go feed the streets, literally. Like,
I think he's just the definition of mid at this point.
Bro, I feel like it's hard to follow up something like The Box. I feel like that has got to be tough.
I think he's making good music now. I've always thought there are 2 artists that people have shockingly gassed were Roddy Ricch and Lil Baby. Whenever they came out, I was like, I mean, this isn't as great as you're all making it seem.
Right.
But Roddy Ricch, I think he's good now. One thing though that somebody actually brought up, someone asked a good question, is the law and Rico gonna kind of mess up or maybe kill a lot of these upcoming hot genres, whether drill in New York, a lot of these artists, even like we didn't think YSL was gonna get arrested, really.
Didn't think so, man. That's the thing. I ended that video I did on YSL before the case, and I was like, thank God Thug has gotten out of the lifestyle and is focused on the music. Turns out that dude was knee deep in the lifestyle still. But like, you know what I think is gonna happen? I think you're right because. Partly, I feel like we just went through a little era, maybe just before the pandemic, right, where it was like, it seemed like the cops just weren't really getting social media all that well. They couldn't really work it out. Like they were always 2 steps behind these gangs that were the rappers, drillers on social media, like the King Von era of music, basically, where everyone was doing crimes, talking about it, because it was like, I tweet about my crimes and nothing happened. And it seems like maybe it was related to the pandemic or something happened where the cops were like, oh shit, we can look on Twitter at all the crimes everyone's snitching on themselves about. And I feel like something changed, and now you cannot be a famous rapper rapping about crimes you've done, tweeting about it, putting it on Instagram, and get away with it. It's just not happening anymore. So either that's like you say, maybe that genre of music's gonna go away, or we're just gonna have people like Ice Spice that take elements of these drill genres but are nothing to do with the streets, and they're just gonna take it to the top.
Or they're gonna be a little bit more metaphorical. Like, they have to plant Easter eggs rather than saying it literally, you know?
But I think the crime element is just too strong. The conclusion that I came to is it's one of two options. Either it's gonna kill it out, but what seems to be happening is it's like a game of whack-a-mole. So they're gonna whack like the 4 biggest like criminals, drill artists, whatever the case may be, and then there's just gonna be a younger group that's doing the same thing, that blow up, have a little bit of buzz for a while, and then go to prison too.
You know what I think is interesting about it is it's like we're kind of living in this era at the moment. I mean, crime's high, like the economy's fucked up all around the world. You know, a lot of people are doing a lot of bad shit, whether it's drill, literally gangs killing their ops, people stealing, people trapping. Like the world's in a difficult place right now. And I feel like when these things are going on, there's always going to be a small group of people that are going to rap about it, make art about it, make movies about it. And, you know, I guess we're just in this weird era where it's like, there's such a short space of time between someone committing a crime, making a song out of it, getting 1 million views talking about this crime, and then getting locked up. Like the Pooh Shiesty story, like that guy came and went like to the top and then straight to jail in breakneck speed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you think if social media and or YouTube, TikTok, whatever, didn't reward views with like that sensationalist content, that it would like encourage more people to do it?
You know what? This is a really interesting question because I feel like some people get the wrong idea when they sort of feel like, okay, YouTube and TikTok are incentivizing sort of people to commit crimes because this sensational content does so well, and that is true. That type of content does well.
Pushing engagement, you know.
Well, but I think that I don't think they're pushing. I don't think they're seeding the engagement. I think humans in general are just always interested in crime. They're interested in extreme stuff. I'm not a criminal. I'm not going to go out and slide on and up. That world and that lifestyle is completely another world to me, but that's why I'm interested in it, because that's not my life. I want to know if someone's made a song about we've killed this guy and we're smoking on him. Hey, I've got to throw my hands up and say I'm curious. I'm going to click on that, and a lot of other people are. And I think some people, they maybe take a leap too far when they say like, oh, YouTube is incentivizing this stuff, and it's like, I think YouTube's just a reflection of like society.
Right. No, I didn't mean it like that. I do agree. People live vicariously through these rappers. It's almost like a real life movie. But yeah, but even in like China, there are apps that do manipulate the algorithms to cater to a specific behavior. You've heard about this, correct?
I have, yeah.
Have you heard about it?
I've heard a little. So like in China, right, is it true like TikTok, they're kind of pushing people towards more like science
I don't know if
and
it's
stuff?
true, but it definitely makes sense.
That's the rumor I've heard.
Yeah.
But I feel like as well, like let's be real, right? China is a more authoritarian society. There's definitely gangsters in China doing criminal shit behind the scenes, right? Like China's not a zero crime place. It's just, I guess that, yeah, because they're so hot and they're cracking down so much on what you're allowed to talk about and what you're allowed to share, I guess they don't even let that be known. Whereas I feel like, in a way, it's good that, you know, we live in a free country, that's America or the UK. We should live in a free country where if there's crime going on in the streets, we should be able to know about it. Whereas in China, it's like if some bad shit goes down, oh, no one's allowed to know about this. Like this all hush secret. And
they're locked in their house.
Yeah, in a way, it's like I feel like it's more of a symptom of a free society that we can talk about the crime that happens.
But also, when you kind of refer to the US and the UK, I wonder how free, artistically speaking, the UK is, because don't a lot of rappers kind of complain the fact that their music videos just get taken down? A lot of them have like wear masks already, but they kind of have to hide their identity because they could be charged for things that they rapped about. So what are some of the differences you see? Because there is a very violent scene in the UK too. But what difference do you see over there that maybe they have to overcome that isn't that prevalent here?
Well, that's a great question, because it's true. The UK isn't as free of a country as the US. You know, we don't actually have freedom of speech. I mean, we don't have a constitution. Like, realistically, like British people, we're not entitled to rights like you guys are in America. And it's these details that make America a great country. Like, you're entitled to, you know, your guns, your free speech, a lot of other things. We don't have that. And, you know, yeah, the Met Police, like mainly in London, they do crack down on certain artists. Like, certain people aren't allowed to say certain things, and the courts will take down their videos. They'll send an injunction to YouTube, and YouTube have to comply. You know, people get mad at YouTube. It's like, oh, YouTube taking down this drill video in the UK, but it's the police, it's the Met Police. They actually have the power to do that. They want YouTube to take down a certain video because they feel it's going to incite violence between two specific gangs that are documented gangs at war. YouTube have to do it, and they got to take it down. And you know, it's been a big thing. There's been a few waves of like big batches of drill videos getting taken down. But at the end of the day, they can't stop it because it always gets re-uploaded. They throw it up on Reddit, and you know they don't really take these things down off Reddit, or at least the police aren't hot on it enough. But like, it is different, man. And I think in the UK, it's one of these things where it's like, the cops. The thing is, they say what we're trying to do is not incite violence. We're trying to like simmer down the violence and stop having people jump on songs saying, I'm going to stab him, I'm going to shoot him, and it playing out. That's what they say, but the reality is, if you're in a gang war, you're going to go and shoot him regardless of whether your song's on YouTube or Reddit or TikTok. The shootings are going to happen. The music is just a way for these guys to express themselves around it. So I personally think it's dumb. I don't think they should be taking this stuff down. But it just goes to show, I mean, I don't think there's many, if any, examples of like American artists where the police have actually gotten their art taken off of streaming services, no?
I don't think there's been that case.
Not encourage. It's almost like the YSL thing. Why are they taking down the biggest people, YSL, the most publicized gang, if you will, at least in the music industry? Why are they taking down the UK rappers? Because if you take down the people who are communicating this gang culture to be cool, then kids won't want to be in gang culture.
I think that's definitely a part of it. You know, that's obviously they don't say that that's what they're doing because they can't, because they're not entitled to, you know. And again, like the Met Police in London, it shouldn't be their role to dictate what society is doing. Like, you know, in London, for example, like in the past few years, you see all the kids just wearing Nike Tech tracksuits, right? Because they want to be like the gangsters. And, you know, you hear a lot of old people. I mean, you even hear fucking people like Andrew Tate talking about, oh, in London, oh, everybody's got a knife now and they all walk around in these Nike tracksuits. And it's like, yo, the kids can wear whatever the fuck they want, bro. Like, if you want to ride around on a scooter with a side bag and a tracksuit and you're not doing any crime, you're entitled to do that. Like, but, you know, like you say, you know, they would love to ban all the drill music and not have people wearing Nike Techs. I don't know what we'd wear if the Met Police had their way. You know, we'd all be wearing button-up shirts and not carrying side bags for your knife.
You'd
but
be wearing the classic wigs.
Bro, yeah, facts, bro. Like the judges and stuff in the UK wear those and shit. But like,
they actually do that?
The judges do, yeah.
Still?
No, the judges and a certain level of lawyer you have to get to. You have to wear the wig, yeah.
No way.
The little grey wig, bro. It's old school. UK's old school, man. It's old school. You got a beautiful country here, man.
So you think it's still very seated in tradition? I kind of like that aspect of it, though. There should be an element of tradition carried. Now, tradition. Yeah, I think there should be, because then you kind of like lose the sense of the country at all. Like, what does it mean to be like English anymore?
Totally. And I think the thing is, I feel like there's a fine line, because it's like you got to keep that sense of tradition and identity of like, yeah, you know, like this is what the country represents. But I feel like a lot of people, especially in the UK, like they kind of just like use that as an excuse to like tell other people what to do.
Yes.
Just like, yo, that's not the British world. How British people should do things. And it's like, bro, Britain is like, it's an old ass country, but also like we need to go into the modern age. Like, that's why I think America's the greatest country, because it's like entrepreneurial. You guys are down to like try new things, new ideas. I come to a city in America and it's all modern. You know, there's new things. Like, I remember years ago coming to, maybe it was LA or something, but it was like, you know, you had those scooters that you could rent and like.
Yeah, the bird ones.
That was the first time I'd seen those, and it was just like, you know, some tech company had decided we're going to try this out, and you see them on the streets, whereas in the UK it was a much longer process for us to get stuff like that. But it's just like, it's an entrepreneurial country, man. You guys want to try stuff. Like, you guys want to do new things. You got your traditions and your constitution, but also like you're down to like experiment and like take things forward, man.
One thing I've noticed though with the UK is a lot of artists have been blowing up more, but the biggest artists rappers at least, seem to be adjacent to like the street stuff, but not necessarily involved or as involved. Do you think that there's a ceiling for like actual street rappers, gangster rappers in the UK? And they're just gonna either get arrested or get their music taken down so much that they're just kind of like blacklisted. Whereas in America, I feel like the street artists have a very incredibly high ceiling where they can become pretty much stars.
I think you were right until very recently. I think, like, for example, I think it was last year, it was the first drill song in the UK to go #1, which is a guy, Russ Millions and Tion Wayne, who are both very, like, have deep histories in the streets. They've both had a lot of beef, the type of shit that you can watch. You know, Russ is on IG Live chasing ops through the store way back. Tion Wayne's, you know, there's like footage of him punching up, trying to punch it up on an airplane. Like, you know, these guys are like, they've definitely been wilding out and had their street situations. But at the same time, I think the charts are now, at least in the UK, are now being more friendly to these guys that have gotten to the top level in music, and they're making like catchy drill songs. And I think the fact that a lot of these guys, they're now moving away from the songs that just like, I want to stab him, and like we get around there and stab them, we shoot them. And it's now more like dance music that sort of hints at violence, which I think's like, I just think it's cool, man. Like they got a song where it's all about, a song like called Body Oddy, right? It was a massive song in the UK, and it's, you know, it's about girls and it's about dancing, but it's also like there's little lyrics in there that just hint at like catching bodies and stabbing people, but it's not, the whole song isn't just about violence, it's like subtle.
Specific details of like, I did it at this store, like.
Exactly, because no one that's listening to mainstream radio in their car on the way to their job wants to hear the specific details of a crime. They want to hear about dance moves, and maybe they catch a little hint of something that's like some gangster shit, but they don't really understand it. You know, it's like you were saying way back at the start of this conversation, it's like way back, I feel like the gangster rap in the US, like the 50 Cent era used to be a lot more subtle. You know, 50 Cent had that lyric about the guy that shot him, and he was like, he got hit like I got hit, but he ain't fucking breathing. And it's like, yo, like, sounds like 50 got get back on the guy that shot him. But he doesn't say, I shot this guy 4 times on 4 p.m. on the 5th of January, and we slid on him, and rest in piss. Like, it is subtle, and it's like, you know, that song, what's it, what's that other 50 Cent song that...
So have rappers gotten stupider with their lyrics and their moves?
Yo, you know what it is? I think, I don't want to offend anybody with this, but I think it's a lot of rappers that are literally fresh out the streets. They drilled somebody that week and they're making a song about it, and they've not even thought about it. They're just saying like, yeah, I slid on him and we slid on them. We're smoking on this guy. And it's like, yo, I don't know who needs to do it. Like, I know you need like an OG like Lil Durk to sit these new rappers down that are out the streets and be like, yo, you cannot be snitching on yourself. You need to actually think of a smart way of saying that you shot somebody, but not really admitting to it. And like, honestly, I know people love their drill and their violent music, but I think everybody actually agrees that it's better if it's a riddle and it's not super obvious what you did. Like, actually that's better, but I think it's a shortcut, man. Like, you can be a guy that literally shot someone this week and be like, I'm gonna make a song.
Could it be because rappers nowadays are more so punching in the studio rather than writing the lyrics?
I think so.
There's time to think, and like the process is way shorter to get the song out.
Yeah, no, facts. I think that's spot on, because I think what you've got is this situation. I mean, this sounds dumb, right? But you can just imagine a scenario where you've got someone like Dirk's in the studio, and he's got five people from O Block with him. You know, he's got the gang with him, or like, you know, even like people like Muwop that were like supposedly involved in these big high-profile murders, and they were making songs, and they're just talking about spinning, and they're saying, you know, we duck them down, we're ducking no bodies, and it's just like, bro, like, he's obviously jumped in the booth, he's allegedly involved in the killing of FBG Duck, and he's just like, yo, how can I put the word duck in there? And it's like, someone needs to be like, bro, you actually don't need to go this deep, like, just tone it down.
Blues or something.
Bro, they'd be doing that as well, you know what I mean? They were saying that. The Dirk's got loads of lyrics where he's saying like duck, duck, goose and shit, and it's just like, bro, chill. Just chill, bro. Stick with the lyrics about India.
That's a free pass for getting clout, bro. Cause then you're turning your life, it's almost like the Kardashians at that point.
You know what I think is interesting, right? And I think it's a detail not a lot of people have picked up on, is that actually I think a lot of this drill stuff, it's become this almost like this social media, like Hunger Games reality show where you've got guys, right. I'm thinking specifically K-Flock. Before he blew up, he was on IG Live, spinning the block. I'm out here looking for the ops, where they at? I got my thing on me. And it's like, yo, people are tuning in. And I remember I did my story on the Bronx gang war with the whole drill scene over there. And it was sort of like, I'm watching these videos of K-Flock spinning the block, and then every live he does, he's getting more and more viewers. And yo, I'm not saying it was a good idea, because now he's in jail, potentially facing a lot of years, but it's like, that's a shortcut to the clout, right. But it's also, you're borrowing against your future to get clout now, because I don't know how his case is gonna go, but he might go away for many, many years, you know?
Do you think they believe that it's worth it? And this is just Young Thug, because I think Young Thug, the documentary on Young Thug is going to be one of the craziest ever, because the guy that came into the rap game kind of like, I don't know if that picture is real, like some guys wearing dresses, like blowing kisses, like extra sus, right? This guy ends up being like one of the biggest gangsters in the game. Like, think about everybody he beefed with the game. He
at least
beefed with.
Wise.
I mean, this guy's ordering hits on YFN Luch, telling people if I didn't like what you did for your mother and your kids, like I'd have you killed. Like nuts stuff. And now he's sitting, and he seems to be taking it perfectly fine. Like, obviously he's not happy to be in prison, but he's chilling. And you know, he's like, damn, these people are telling on me, and he seems to be holding it down. I legitimately think that he's willing to sit down. Because, this is theoretically speaking, if there was anyone that he could tell on, that I believe people would want information on, it would have to be Birdman. Because they were allegedly involved in the tour bus shooting for Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
So if he wanted to sell someone out, I'm pretty sure the federal government would be happy to look into Birdman.
Didn't they let out the guy that shot at Wayne in that incident as
yes,
well?
Roscoe. Pee Wee Roscoe.
Ooh, that's
he had gotten
theory.
like 20-something years.
Yeah.
And then something happened where he got released like a couple of years later.
Do they care about like one measly shooting that was because like a rap beef as opposed to like taking down a criminal organization?
Yeah, but they can take down the criminal organization. Young Thug can get out for taking out Birdman. That's like top of the food chain.
Well, you can only get a deal if you snitch on somebody, if you flip on somebody above you, right? And I think Thug are basically in the YSL organization, there isn't anyone above Thug, right. And they want Thug because he's supposedly the kingpin and he's flexed on the Atlanta police for years. They obviously hate him and they hate that he's rich and doing his thing, but like, it depends, like, do they have something good enough on, but like, are they happy enough with Birdman? I feel like they want Thug. I think it's personal. I think, you know, Thug is in the community in Atlanta flexing on all these cops all the time. Bro, I feel like they want to put Thug away and make an example of him, but you're right. I think the only person that above him on the food chain would be Birdman. And you know what? There's been a few stories about Birdman that I could believe that Birdman is on some kingpin shit, but then also I think he's smart enough to not really be involved.
Where is Birdman from?
New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah.
Okay, so this is Atlanta DA. This is a Georgia case.
What I'm saying is, let's say Young Thug is convicted. I don't know if this is somebody, we got a lawyer in here for sure. Somebody please let me know. That's state government, right? Let's say he's convicted for a state crime.
Right.
Federal can precede states or can oversee state stuff.
Right.
So let's say he's like, hey, look, goes to the federal government. He's like, look, I've got information on, what's his name? I've got information on Birdman. I'm pretty sure the federal government can be like, hey, look, Atlanta, Georgia, look, you know, you've got this little thing here, but we've got bigger fish to fry. So I'm pretty sure they could get Young Thug out, the federal government.
Yeah, probably.
If he's going to tell on Birdman. But I don't know. Birdman's, to me, has always seemed like he's had a lot going on. Respectfully, within music, but Birdman's just always been a shadowy figure. Especially Birdman's brother Slim. Circling back to Young Thug, my question is, do you think Young Thug's sitting there, let's say he gets 20 years or whatever the case, do you think he's sitting there in the cell and he's like, you know what, that was all worth it. I lived an amazing 8 years of being rich, now I got to do my 20, or do you think he's like, damn, that was not worth it?
I wonder, man. I often wonder, like, what does Thug think sat in that cell? Because it seems like he was a complete drug addict before he went to jail. They threw him in jail and he had to detox off that shit. He probably hasn't been thinking straight for years because apparently he basically lives on a diet of like lean and Cheetos.
Didn't his liver like give out?
His girlfriend, Jerica Carley, had said in an interview, I think this was in 2015 or 2016. I didn't even know if he was lying or trolling at the time, but he said something along the lines of, oh, I don't eat food. And then his girl was like, yeah, there's sometimes he doesn't eat for 3-4 days and then he has to go get IVs. He just gets IVs instead of eating. I was like, these guys got to be trolling for attention, but I legitimately believe it because Young Thug looks great now. Like he looks healthy, and he's been in prison.
He looked like a junkie before, like, let's be real. And didn't he get caught with a bunch of meth? Like, bro, I could believe he's not eating and taking meth for 4 days and recording these songs. And bro, just listen to Thug's music. You're like, bro, this guy ain't even all there. Like, let's be real. You know, I feel like he probably at this point, this is just me speculating, but like, I feel like at this point, Thug is probably thinking like, damn, like, you know, that supposed murder that had happened, 2015, that was before he was really big. And it seems like really that's sort of the worst crime of the case, right? And he went on to have this amazing career afterwards. And I think he probably thinks, shit, like I could have just not had this guy killed, not had people shoot at YFN Lucci's mom, not tried to have Lucci killed in jail, and just had my successful music career. But I think he got carried away on this, like, I'm the kingpin, the big gangster, I'm Big Slime. And, you know, hey, I haven't been in that situation, but I can imagine if you got an ego and you're in that situation where, you know, you're a millionaire, you can have anything you want, you can have any girl you want, you've got all these dudes around you ready to slide for you. You know, should we stab Lucci up? Yeah. Like, you can just get removed from reality and then add the drugs to the mix. Like, you know, the dude was just living this fast life, and I would imagine he probably regrets it if he did do that stuff.
I want to know how he created like the infrastructure for YSL, the label, to become such a big, like it's one of the most successful artist-run labels, if he's on drugs the entire time.
I think it's these people like Lyle Cohen or who's the guy? Is it Kevin Lyles?
Lior and
so
Kevin Lyles.
He's just like the face of it, and then other people handle it in the back end. Because I feel like Thug is a good somebody who connects.
I think it's the music. mainly he kind of handled the music and the cosigns, really. And that's one thing that I kind of can't even look at Gunna properly for, because people gave a lot of flack to 6ix9ine, but these guys had already, like, 6ix9ine did wrong, I believe that. However, 6ix9ine, they were already like robbing the guy trying to kill him, or kidnapping him trying to kill him. If he sat there in prison, do you think they were just gonna be like, hey bro, we really appreciate it, you held us down? Or they're gonna try to kill him in prison too?
Facts.
So these people arguably robbed him. I don't really believe the whole shoddy, like, banging his baby mom thing. I don't believe it.
There's been no evidence for that.
Yeah, I don't believe that. But still, let's say they did you wrong, right? Young Thug has only blessed Gunna. If you can't do just 5 years for what Young Thug's done for you, like, come on.
Facts.
That's just greedy.
No. You know what? I'm a clap back on that, because I think he gave him a lot. But at the end of the day, Gunna is talented. He would have been a star anyway. He didn't really sign up for this gang shit. As far as I know, Gunna wasn't out there sliding on people and sliming people. He probably didn't even want to get the slime tattoo and do all this shit. He just wanted to get his music released. So in a way, I kind of understand him snitching, because it's sort of like, bro, I just wanted to release music. Like he said in his plea, he said, like, you know, I got into this, I'm upset that my talent got hijacked to be part of this gang. And I know everyone's on his case, but like, I kind of believe that. Like, Gunna doesn't seem like he was sliding on people. His music wasn't really even about that. His whole thing was like, I take drugs, I sip lean, I'm fly, I wear nice clothes and jewelry, and I'm just like spaced out dude.
I don't have them on me, but I remember looking up some bars from some Gunna songs, and he's talking about, you know, we could have some hits, he sent some people on you.
Yeah,
and the thing is, he knew who Young Thug was.
Think slime.
If we knew who Young Thug was and what he was getting into, Gunna in Atlanta definitely knew what Young Thug was on. And he decided to link up with him and, you know, get shaking and moving. So he knew what he was doing. So that's why I can't really listen, so you don't think Gunna should have just took a plea deal for 2 years and then just...
But you know what? The feds are moving smart on this one, because they know that they had to flip Gunna. I mean, like everybody has been saying, this Alford plea, or whatever they call it, from Gunna, this is the first time anybody official inside of YSL has admitted that it's a gang, right? Which, when I did my video on Thug, I did a part about Lucci's case, and in Lucci's paperwork it says YSL, Young Slime Life, is a street gang in Atlanta. But that was the only thing I could find anywhere on the internet that called YSL a gang outright. So now Gunna has made this statement. That is quite literally the only acknowledgement of it as a gang from the inside. So I feel like that makes a huge difference. And I don't know, like, I guess even if Gunna's on songs talking about sliding, like, I don't know if Gunna wasn't really ganged up to begin with. Like,
or
yeah,
at least
those guys.
Gunna has to not be the first guy to fall over.
But I guess, you know,
maybe he was just the most publicized, because I feel like there were people who snitched first.
Nah, they would have gotten them, like, because all of this stuff has been public. There's videos of the people in the courthouse.
But weren't there things that came out like that 2 years ago? People were already snitching.
Those were probably just informants, though, at that point.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I would say though? I think the prosecution, obviously they're smart, because they seem to be doing a good job on this case as far as, like, you know, making good chess moves against Thug. And essentially, I feel like the weakest link is the person that's got the most to lose. And behind Thug, who is the main target, Gunna probably does have the most to lose. I mean, Pushin P was literally like only a few months into last year or whatever, right?
Like March.
Number one song. He was at the pinnacle of the music industry. Pushin P was everywhere, right? So Gunna was living this lifestyle independently, doing his own thing at the top of the charts. He's not trying to go and sit down in jail for 5 years. Like, let's be real. You know, he's trying to get back to that Pushin P lifestyle, and I kind of understand. I'm not a street dude, so I don't really get it. Like, obviously, I wouldn't think to be snitching on my family or like turning on people, but I'm also not out here committing crimes and killing people. So it's like, it's really hard for me to relate, and I kind of see where he's coming from.
But say someone, and this is just a hypothetical scenario, was to give you like $50 million.
Okay.
And you know they're a criminal. And they get taken to jail, would you go to jail for 5 years knowing that you don't have to work for the rest of your life and keep that 50 mil? Because I think I would.
Bro, jail is pretty bad.
But that goes back to what you're saying, but they're millionaires. Like, what kind of jail are they going to?
No, they're going to the same jail as the broke people.
That's a good question, though.
But also, so in this scenario, they're not snitching because they're taking the time.
Mm-hmm.
you don't think that there's gonna be a whole bunch of people that are ready to like protect Gunna or Young Thug in jail?
I think that's true. I think
have like a little gang in there already.
No, I believe
for real.
Yeah.
You know what? That's such a good question, and I think I want to get on my Andrew Tate shit for a second because I feel like that's such a good question, and I totally get where you're coming from. With like, if you were in that scenario, would you take the 50 mil? But I think it's really important to just like remind people that no matter how much money you're offered, right, you should never compromise your integrity. And if you don't want to be in business with criminals, which I do not want to be in business with criminals, I talk about crime, I talk about rappers, I talk about drill, but I would never want to do business with somebody I knew was a criminal, somebody that I knew had the potential to go away to do life in prison or implicate me in some shit, right? So it might sound far-fetched, right? But if I knew somebody was dodgy in crime, that shit could go left and I could be implicated, I wouldn't take 50 mil, 100 mil, I wouldn't take anything, because I just feel like I got to be confident that I could make a lesser amount of money in the right way and keep it and keep my nose clean than compromise like my integrity and my freedom. So I feel like that's just like, I feel like that's just so important, man.
I agree with that take because just on like, let's say I did go through with that, right? And I take the money. I feel like I just couldn't live with myself selling that person out. And I don't want to go to prison, so I just avoid the situation entirely. Because it's kind of like a can you live with yourself type of thing. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. 50 and 100 is the same thing.
I'm taking 5 years for somebody.
50 and 100 is the same thing.
200. A billion.
It's still the same thing at that point.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You can still buy the jet and shit.
But here's the point, right? Here's an interesting part, because I feel like if your mind state is like, look, I'm trying to get to 50 M's. Like, obviously, you're an aspirational dude. You know, you're clearly hustling, doing well for yourself. Like, we all want to get to 50 mil. But even in that scenario, right, you say, okay, I would take 5 years in jail, and I do respect that. But then at the same time, like, this is a hypothetical scenario. Now let's say you're in the real scenario. I got to go and do my bid. It's day one in jail, and when I get out, I'm gonna get my 50 mil, so it's all good. But this is my day one in jail. You get shanked in the neck and you die. Like, that's the reality of the risk that you're taking. So it's like,
I agree.
You although I get where you're coming from, and I don't.
That is a small percentage because you already have a small percentage of going to jail. So then the shank is like, you could go on the street of UK in London and get shanked.
Well, I mean, the concentration. Listen, the concentration of criminals in the UK or London is not, the concentration of criminals in prison is 100%.
Right. Well, I get that, but
also, how valuable is your time to you? Because I think that's priceless.
That's
Would you rewind? Let's say you're broke, right? You don't have anything you have right now, but you have all the knowledge that you've accumulated. Would you rewind 5 years? Would you want to be 5 years younger? Because I would take that any day.
Yeah,
Facts.
I would. But think about it. 50 mil, this number. 5 years. That's 10 mil a year that you just made. That's
5 years.
Good.
But put it this way, right? You're a hustler. You believe in yourself, right? Yeah. Maybe right now you've not got 50. You're not making 10 mil a year. Who knows? But like maybe now you're not making 10 mil a year. But let's say with 5 years of freedom, with your mindset and all the shit you know, and you know that you're a smart guy, you're a hustler. In 5 years, you could be making 10 mil a year. You could be ahead of yourself where you would have been in 5 years of jail with no personal growth. No additional knowledge. You're stuck in jail. You come out of jail, there's going to be a whole new generation of iPhones you're going to have to work out how to use. You might have 50 mil, but shit, inflation, 50 mil might not even be what it used to be. You know what I mean? I feel like, you know what? I feel like it's just...
I get your point.
You know what? I feel like sometimes, right, I don't know how you guys feel, but I've never been to jail. I really hope I don't go to jail. And there's certain days where I almost say to myself, like, yo, all I got to do to be successful is just not end up in jail in life. You know what I'm saying?
Never said that.
All I got, like, that's the bare minimum. As long as I don't fuck up and end up in jail, I got this.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I believe,
because
you also got to look at it in terms of relationships with family, stuff like that. Like, let's say you've got a wife, right? Do you think 5 years you're still gonna have that same wife?
Yeah, they're probably gonna use that.
You've got that stress. Your girl's back home. You've got the stress like, man, what is this chick doing? You know she's not staying for 5 years.
Bro, every rapper tells the story of like, you know your girl's fucking when you're in jail for 5 years. Like, you just gotta eat that.
Yeah,
I mean, if they're doing it to soldiers who are out there like fighting,
bro,
you're in prison.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's the thing. It's like 50 mil. Obviously, it's a lot of money. We all want to get to big money, but like, bruh, to think of the heartache you're gonna go through. I feel like even now making that decision, you would find yourself in year 2 of that bid, knowing that your girl's getting wrecked by like Debo on the outside, and you'd be like, nah, it wasn't worth it, man. I would give it back to have my girl back.
Well, that is one way to look at it.
Yeah, no, I'm saying. But you know what? I also think that like when you start hitting those sorts of numbers, it's like things that money can't buy become more important to you. And if you got 50, 100 mil, I think a lot of people. I reckon Jeff Bezos, he's got billions, but I reckon he still thinks to himself like, man, I wish I could have kept my first marriage together. And money can't fix that, you know. Bill Gates probably like, I shouldn't have gone to Epstein's island. You know, no money will fix that.
He's like, I shouldn't have started investing in vaccines. Whole video just got trashed off of this. We gotta censor that.
No, for entertainment purposes only.
Oh man.
Yo, so you gotta go soon, right? I don't want to hold you up.
Yeah, I think it's.
That was a great convo.
Yeah, that's like about. Did we get like about an hour in? 6:05. Perfect.
We killed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lit. That was fun, man.
Yeah, that was great.